Hello and welcome to my class, Physical Activity and Exercise Explained. So this is the third episode in my 3-episode mini-series, which I based off of my original class called 5 Pillars of Health. So in 5 Pillars of Health, we learned about nutrition, physical activity and exercise, mindfulness, sleep, and your environment. We touched on each of those subjects and how they relate to overall health in the body. So in this 3-episode mini-series, I started off with my first episode, mindfulness, trust your gut. Then my second episode, nutrition beyond the basics. And I'm ending with this third episode, physical activity and exercise explained, which we will be diving deeper into using movement as a tool for health. So my name is Brittany Kerrigan. I am a Washington State University nutrition and exercise physiology undergraduate student at the Elson S. Floyd College of Medicine here in Spokane, Washington. So just to give you a little bit of a class purpose. So the purpose of this class is to provide education and spread awareness on specific health-related topics using scientific-based evidence and professional recommendations. The hope is for you to take that knowledge and apply it in your life in ways that you see best fit. So take what resonates with you and leave what does not. And then just a little bit of a disclaimer, none of the following information is a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So please consult a licensed healthcare professional for those things. Then just to give you a little rundown of today's class agenda. So I'll just start off with this little introduction. I've broken the class into 2 sections. So we'll start off with some education on sedentary behavior and using movement as a tool for health. And then we'll end with a short interactive exercise demo in which you can use to turn into a full body workout for at home or at the gym. And then just to go over our class objectives, by the end of today's lecture, you should be more familiar with what sedentary behavior is and the health impacts it can have on your life, as well as what movement as medicine means. And then by the end of this class, you should be able to successfully perform several strength training exercises and guide yourself through a full body workout. So I just kind of wanted to start off with a brief overview of exercise and physical activity. If you watched my original class, 5 Pillars of Health, we touched on everything on this slide, but I'm just going to review it in case someone hasn't seen it or doesn't know this information. So physical activity or movement is defined as not necessarily planned physical movement of the body, whereas exercise is defined as planned and structured physical activity or movement of the body. Now moving on to the American College of Sports Medicine and the Center for Disease Control recommendations for exercise. So they recommend that adults ages 18 through 65 years old should participate in aerobic and strength training exercise. So aerobic exercise should be performed 3 to 5 days a week, either greater than or equal to 30 minutes at a moderate intensity or greater than or equal to 20 minutes at a vigorous intensity, or a combination of the two to equate to 150 minutes or more of aerobic exercise a week. And then for strength training exercise, they recommend greater than or equal to 2 days a week of strength training exercise. Okay, so moving on to sedentary behavior. So I just wanted to start off with a repeatable definition. So sedentary behavior is defined as any waking behavior characterized by an energy expenditure of less than or equal to 1.5 metabolic equivalents or METs. So I don't really want you to worry too much about METs here, but it is kind of a helpful unit to use when defining sedentary behavior versus physical activity. And this includes being at this energy expenditure while in a sitting, reclining, or lying posture. So some examples of sedentary behavior would be sitting on your couch and watching TV, or sitting on your couch reading a book, or scrolling social media. So if we go over to the right here and look at this little diagram, we kind of see we have sedentary behavior here at the bottom, equating to less than or equal to 1.5 METs. So again, that's in a lying, reclining, or sitting position. This also applies to sleep in these same positions, but for sleep, we are considering that about 1 MET. So you're going to be using less energy during sleep than you are when you're being sedentary. And then on the flip side, we have physical activity over here, which is going to be greater than 1.5 METs. So this can be a little confusing. So I'm going to try and break it down for you as best that I can. So physical activity can be done either standing, sitting, reclining, or lying, or other. And this is where I mean that it can get confusing. So I could be doing a workout where I am on the floor and I'm doing some core work, or I'm sitting maybe and doing some bicep curls. So that is not going to be considered sedentary behavior. And that's where we kind of need to make these distinctions here. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, I will provide my contact information, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you may have, because this is just such a short amount of time that I have with you today, and I can only touch on so much. So now I just wanted to kind of move on and touch on the positive, negative health risks that can come along with sedentary behavior. So leading a very large life that involves sedentary behavior, or leading a sedentary lifestyle would be a better way to put that, can lead to increased risks for diseases or conditions such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, and hypertension, as well as high cholesterol. It can also lead to things such as diabetes and depression, as well as osteoporosis, cognitive issues, and then as well as a reduced quality of life and reduced ability to do activities of daily living, especially as we grow older. It's kind of like that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it, unfortunately. So now we're going to move on to using movement as medicine, or using movement as a tool for health. So just some tips on that is to start small. Many things count as movement or physical activity, and you don't have to be an athlete to integrate movement into your life. So movement should be for you, and it should be what best fits your needs. So I just kind of wanted to provide a few examples of what physical activity can mean. So it's going to be different for everyone, and I encourage you to come up with ideas that work best for you. But like we said in our definition, physical activity is basically just any movement of the body that's not necessarily planned or structured. So this could be anything such as getting up off the couch to go do the dishes, or clean a room in your house, or go get some mail from the mailbox. This could be even going and taking a walk outside, or taking your dog on a walk. This could be parking in the parking lot at the grocery store and then walking from your car to the grocery store. Those all count as physical activity. And moving your body regularly can improve several things in your life, such as, or in your health, such as muscle strength, balance, and coordination, bone, joint, brain, and heart health, as well as mental health. So kind of in conclusion of movement as medicine, if you stay regularly physically active, you will be able to better perform activities of daily living, remain independent, especially as you age, and are less likely to have negative health outcomes. And so I just kind of wanted to end on some tips to break up sedentary time. We kind of talked about ideas of what what physical activity means, but basically just move your body. Just move. Find movement that feels good to you and do it. Move for your health and the positive effects that it can have on your health, not just to burn calories. And remember to start out slow and increase movement to a level and amount that is appropriate for you. Try not to compare yourself to others. I know that's easier said than done, but you are your own individual person with bio-individual needs, and what your life looks like should not look like what someone else's look like. It's what someone else's life looks like. So please keep that in mind and be gentle with yourself. So here are my references. Like I said, I really only have so much time with you today, so we can only touch on so much of this topic, and it is such a huge topic, and I think it is so important. So again, I will provide my contact information at the end of this lecture, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you may have. I would love to hear from you. So now I'm just going to give a little brief overview of what the little exercise demo is going to look like. So I'm basically just going to be guiding you through each of these exercises. And then if you combine them together for 2 to 4 sets and 10 to 12 reps or repetitions of each exercise, then you'll have yourself a full body workout. So I will be guiding you through these 10 exercises today. First, we'll start off with a squat, then a bicep curl, lunge, bent over row, sumo squat, triceps kickback, deadlift, plank, push-up, and Russian twist. And then before we get into this video, I just wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer. As I'm going through the squat portion of the workout, I do forget to tell you to make sure that your knees do not pop over your toes. So when you're performing a squat exercise, one thing to keep in mind is that your knees should stay behind the line of your toes and should not kind of like pop over that line. Again, if that does not make sense, please feel free to reach out to me. All right, welcome to my exercise demo. So I'm just going to guide you through 10 exercises today. So all you'll need is one set of dumbbell weights, like so. Today I'm going to be using a 5-pound set and an 8-pound set. The 5-pound set is my lighter set for me, and the 8-pound set is a heavier set for me. So just find what works best for you. I also have a yoga mat here that will provide a little bit of protection and padding for my body on 2 of the exercises that we're going to be doing, so you may want one of those as well. And just a little disclaimer, before you begin participating in exercise, please make sure it's safe for you. You know your body, so if you have a medical condition and you feel like you need to seek medical clearance before participating in exercise, please do so. All right, so let's get started. We're going to begin with a squat. So I'll go ahead and show you this exercise without weights to begin with. So for most of our exercises, we're going to begin in a neutral standing position. So this is going to be with our feet about hip width apart, our shoulders down and back, our spine in a neutral position looking forward. So I'm going to get in that position in a side profile just so you can see me better. Now for a squat, I'm going to keep the weight in my heels. I like to put my arms out in front of me like this just to counteract and help with balance. And then I'm going to squat down to about 90 degrees and then return to a standing position. So I'll show you that one more time. All right, if you want to add in some weights, you can. This is what this will look like with weights. So I'm just going to hold them at my shoulders like so. And then squat down. All right. Next, I'm going to show you a bicep curl. So you're going to keep those weights in your hands if you already have them. If not, go ahead and grab some weights. And we're going to start with a underhand grip, like so. And then going through a full range of motion, and with control, we don't want to swing our weights. Keeping a slight bend in our knees, we're going to row them into our chest, curl them up, like so. And again, like I said, going through a full range of motion. So that is what that will look like. All right, so next moving on to a lunge. So what you're going to do is from this neutral standing position, you're going to pick whichever leg you want to start out with first. I'm going to choose my left. I'm going to step that foot forward, my next foot back, making sure my pelvis is tilted forward, and then I'm just going to bend both of my knees to about a 90 degree, and then come back to standing. And then to switch sides, we'll just do that like so, and down. If you want to add weights in this, you can. So this is what this would look like with weights. I'm just kind of framing my leg here with the weights. And switching sides, like so. And just be careful when you're doing this not to knock your knee on the ground, because that doesn't feel the greatest. All right, so next we're going to be moving on to a bent over row. So I'm going to grab my weights again. I'm going to get in that neutral standing position with my feet hip width apart. I'm then going to bend my knees a little more slightly than normal, and I'm going to hinge at my waist, like so. And then what we're going to do is just row the weights up into kind of our armpits, like so, or our chest, and then back down. And when you're doing this, it's almost like you're trying to squeeze something like a pencil between your shoulder blades. So like that. All right, next we're going to move on to a sumo squat. So for this exercise, we're going to have a little bit of a different standing stance. So we're going to have our feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, so about shoulder width. And we're going to turn our feet out. Next, we're just going to squat down basically like normal, but we want to make sure that our back is staying flat. So you almost pretend like you're sliding down a wall like this. We'll go ahead and just turn to the side so you can see that as well, like so. And you can add weights into that as well. All right. So moving on to a tricep kickback, I'm going to pick up my weights again. We're going to start off kind of like we did with our bent over row. So you're going to start with your weights up here in this position, and then you're just going to kick them all the way back. Again, going through that full range of motion. You can kind of hold your weights here or pause for a second when you're going through. Just like that. Okay, next we're going to be moving on to a deadlift. So I'm going to grab my heavier weights just because this exercise is a little easier for me, at least with heavier weights. It's usually and often done with barbell weights, but I'm going to show you how to do it with these dumbbells today. So what you're going to do is always keep a neutral bend in those knees, or a slight bend in those knees. For this, you're just going to come with an overhand grip. Make sure those shoulders are down and back, and then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of stick our butt out, bend our knees, and then we're just going to drop our weights to about knee level and then back up. And as you can see, I'm kind of shaving my legs with the weights. I'm not bringing them out. Like so. And this is actually a Romanian deadlift. There are several versions of deadlifts. Next, moving on to a plank. So we're going to get on the floor onto our mat, face down. So what I'm going to do is place my palms on the mat, like so. And I'm going to make sure that my arms and my shoulders are stacked on top of my palms. I'm then going to bring my feet back like this and push into my heels, kind of keeping the weight back in my heels. My core is up and tight. My spine is nice and straight. I'm not lifting my hips up too high or lowering them too low. So this is what a plank looks like. And then slowly come down out of that. So for our next exercise, we're going to be doing a push-up, and we'll basically start off in a plank position. So there's two ways that you can do a push-up. One is a regular push-up and one is on your knees, so just do what's best for you. So again, we're going to start off in a plank position. So I'll show you each variation of the push-up. This is a regular push-up, so I'm just going to bend my elbows, and I'm going to make sure they stay kind of in line with the sides of my body and don't bow out. And then I'm just going to slowly lower down until my nose touches the mat, and then back up, like so. To do it on your knees, from a plank position, you just kind of lower your knees down, bring those legs up, cross the feet at the ankles, and then again, just lower those elbows down, and back up. All right, so for our last exercise, I'm going to show you a Russian twist. So we're just going to flip over onto our mat like so. So I have my glutes on the ground, I have my knees bent facing towards the ceiling, and I have my feet kind of flexed and my toes pointing towards the ceiling. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my legs up like this, keep my core in tight, find a good balance. Then I'm going to take my hands like this, almost like I'm holding a ball, and I'm going to twist my torso from side to side like that. So if this is new to you, it's okay to have your feet down on the ground. You don't have to lift them up until you're ready to do so. So you can have your feet or your heels on the ground like this and just rotate it out as well. You'll still be using your core. If you want to make it a little more challenging, you can also add in some weights. So this is what this would look like with some weights. All right. And there you have it. So if you combine all those exercises together and do about 10 to 12 reps and 2 to 4 sets, you'll have yourself a full body workout that you can even do at home. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope that was helpful. All right, thank you so much for making it this far. If you have, and please join me for my other 2 classes in this series, Mindfulness, Trust Your Gut, and Nutrition Beyond the Basics. Again, please feel free to contact me with any questions you may have. I would love to hear from you. Here are my 2 emails down at the bottom. The one on my left is my school email, and the one on my right is my personal email. And just to be honest, I'm a little better at answering my school email, so that is probably the best way to get a hold of me. Again, thank you so much, especially if you have made it through this entire series, and keep an eye out for more videos in the future, because who knows, I may make some more. Thank you. Bye.